Hey y'all, welcome back to our very bookish channel. I'm so excited for today because Jen and I decided to do a seasonal TBR, and I'm so excited for that. I'm gonna let you know 10 books that I want to read this summer. They're not books that we're necessarily vlogging. They're just 10 books that we each want to read this summer. I'm gonna pick 8 and then I'm gonna draw 2 out of my TBR jar. So this was really hard for me to come up with only 8 books. And I actually cheated a tiny bit. I am going to have technically 9 on here, but I'm counting a duology as 1. So I am going to have a duology coming up. But it was really hard for me to narrow this down because there are just so many books. I feel like already summer's just started and I just feel like already there's just not enough time for me to read all these books in the summer. I do want to focus on my physical TBR. I also have some physical arcs from publishers that I want to read because I appreciate those so much and I hate it when I don't get to them or can't read them. I know it's like unrealistic for someone to expect you to get to all of them and read them all, but at the same time I feel like I don't want to take them and take away the opportunity of someone else to read them if I don't read them. So I do feel a little bit of guilt when I don't get them read. So I do have a few physical arcs on here that I need to catch up on.
Hey guys, Jen here, and welcome to our summer TBR. I have a lot of books on my list. I am very excited and can't wait to get into it. It was hard, as usual, to break it down to 8 titles and then 2 that we are picking out of our TBR jar. And I am glad that we're doing that because I feel a majority of my books that I have made for this list are very recent and coming out this summer. I do also want to read down books that I've been wanting to read. Now, this is just a sample of what we will be reading, obviously. I have a feeling I'll be reading a lot more than what's on this list, and Amanda and I are mood readers, so there's a possibility that some of these could get kicked off the list as well for something else that comes out that we don't even know about yet. And speaking of, I'm kicking it off strong because the first book I want to go over is one that came out of nowhere, is getting a ton of buzz, and I believe it was self-published and now is getting traditionally published. And it's called Daggermouth. It's by H.M. Wolf and comes out at the end of July. It just sounds really interesting to me. I don't know exactly what category it is in, but it's described as a dystopian romance. I think it takes place in the future because it says it's a society that lives a corrupt surveillance state. And there's a mercenary that botches an assassination attempt on the president's son and then is forced to marry him. I have a feeling that she may end up having feelings for the president's son, but I don't know. It's just a wild guess. I am interested in reading this, and Amanda is also interested in reading this, so I believe we're going to be doing it for a viral series. But I definitely want to read that one this summer. So I'd have to say that one is a definite.
So I think I'm maybe gonna start with a horror book that I want to read this summer. I have one horror book on my list. It's technically not out yet, but it is coming out either the end of May or beginning of June, I think. Or mid-June. I don't know. It's coming out in the summer. And it's called Summer Fun Massacre by Craig DeLuey. I mentioned this in our most anticipated releases for May and June. I wasn't able to get an ARC of this, so I don't have a copy yet. I'm just going to wait until the book comes out and try to pick it up from my library. I'm almost certain I already have a hold in at my library for the book, so I should be getting it when it releases. And this book just seemed so fun. It's summer camp slasher is the best way I can describe it. And if you want a lot of detail, I'm not going to put a lot of detail in these because Jen also has 10 books and I don't want this video to be too long. But if you want more detail about any of these books, then go read the descriptions for them. But Craig DeLuey is an author that is frequently featured on my most anticipated, although I have not read him. So I think this book is just giving me the best summer vibes. I love the summer camp massacre type 90s, feel to these type of books. And I just think this one's going to be really fun. And I am super excited to get it. And I probably will start it as soon as I can once I get my hands on the book.
The next one that has a cover that screams summer and also has been named one of the most anticipated books of 2026 by Time. The author had a very viral hit that was on streaming based on her book called The Idea of You. So this is her second book that's coming out. It's called Crash Into You by Robin Lee. Definitely a cover that is screaming summer. I did not read or see the movie or whatever streaming series or movie that it was called An Idea of You, but I did get an arc of it, so I thought this would be a potential for this summer. Since it's getting a lot of buzz, it did give me some interest in it. It's about a woman named Cecilia, and when she gets into an accident, she happens to see a model on the street, and they end up in an affair, it sounds like, and Cecilia ends up having her life upended because of what happens when she runs into this model and everything that happens after that. It sounds like it might be one of those Taylor Jenkins Reid type books that will be really enthralling and want to keep my interest, which is what made me put it on the list. So I am looking forward to at least attempting this, and hopefully I'll do an arc review for you guys.
The next book I want to talk about is a contemporary romance book, and I just have one. Contemporary romance isn't, my favorite, just like horror. I dabble in it, but it's not something I can read consistently. So I have one contemporary romance, summer romance on my book, and it's called Rules for Summer by Megan Quinn. I read one book by Megan Quinn for a vlog, and I've said this before, so if you've seen all my other videos, I apologize for the repetition, but if you haven't, I did read Just for the Cameras for an ARC vlog that we did earlier this year, and I just had so much fun reading the book. It was just so fun, so entertaining, so gripping. I wanted to keep reading it, and I thought, Megan Quinn, this can't just be one. This can't be a one-off for this author, because she has so many contemporary books out that I see all the time. So I was able to get this on Edelweiss and download it. This book is already out, so this is the ARC version, but the book has since been released. I've seen it in stores. It is a very pretty book too, so if Megan Quinn's an author you like, I think you should go pick it up. It has really pretty sprayed edges, but this is a book that I really am anxious to get to and want to read as soon as possible because of just the summer vibes.
Next is another ARC, and this one is by an author who is local to Ohio. Her name is Kaylin White. This one's called A Song of Spells and Sorrows. It is the first in a series. The series is going to be called The Ballad of Fate. I did read one by this author for a vlog that we did about the Ohio Book Con, and I really enjoyed her writing, but that one is a little different in premise. That one was more of a historical thriller / kind of horror supernatural story. This one is more fantasy related, and it's obviously about a romance, and it's about a woman who is harnessing her magic powers and falling in love, but the man that she falls in love with ends up going off to war. Years later, she ends up with a band of mercenaries called the Blades of Fate. And she ends up finding out that he's alive. She doesn't know if she should try and go see him because she feels like it's been so many years, and will he even remember her? I feel like the premise is definitely outside of what I normally read, and I'd like to switch it up. I like to throw things in my reading that aren't just thrillers and fiction. I do like to dabble in fantasy. So I think between Daggermouth and this one, I have definitely some different books to gravitate towards. And I look forward to doing this one. I was going to do an ARC review, but it does come out very shortly because it's June 2nd when it comes out. And I am recording this right before June. So I won't have a chance to do an ARC review, but once we do our Q2 breakdown of everything we read, I most likely will be going over this because I do really want to read this one.
Okay, so the next two books are going to be in the mystery category. And the first book is going to be, I would think it's more of a humorous mystery, and it's The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This book's been out a long time. A lot of people have read this book. No one's really talking about it much anymore, but the premise of this book just sounded so fun. This is about senior citizens. I think they're in a nursing home. It's in a retirement village. It says in a peaceful retirement village. There's four senior citizens that get together in this club. They call it the Thursday Murder Club, where they put puzzles together or something. And it just so happens that in this retirement village, someone is murdered, and the four of them try to solve murders. And y'all, I just think senior citizens are so cute, and I love books based around them because they can be so humorous. And I just thought, when I'm wanting something a little more humorous, a little more light, I thought maybe this would be a fun book to start. I do think this might be a series, so maybe, let me see if it says in the beginning if it's got more books. I don't know. This might actually be an arc. I'm not sure. This is a book that I thrifted from a library sale. It looks like it's in pretty good condition, but there is some writing in it where someone made notes and stuff. So I don't know. Like someone wrote, okay, so chapter 1 is Joyce, and they wrote nurse. So Joyce is a nurse. So hopefully that doesn't bother me. I don't really like marking up books, so hopefully that doesn't bother me when I read it. But I just thought this would be great for one of my lighter, more funny reads this summer.
Speaking of another book that I didn't get a chance to do an ARC review for, and I think Amanda has it too. It's called The Anniversary by Alex Finley. We have done ARC reviews for his other books, but this one has already been out now. I do still really want to read it because it has such an interesting premise. It starts in 1992, and there are two teenagers that manage to escape a serial killer. He's known as the May Day Killer, and he usually strikes on, I think it's like May 1st. And you end up seeing each anniversary date year after year and what their lives are like after that. I don't know what happens to the killer, if he was caught or maybe kind of caught and the wrong person's in jail, but his books are so fast paced that I love reading them. And I feel like the premise is definitely going to be one that's going to be a page turner. So I can't wait to get to this one.
Next mystery book I have is an ARC, and that is Whisper Creek by Alice Brennan. Again, I'm not going to go over everything that this book is about. I have read another book by this author that I did enjoy, and it took place, the other book I read from her took place in Alaska, and I think it was it a plane that they were flying that crashed, or were they hiking? I can't remember how exactly they got deserted. I read it a while ago, but these people get deserted in the Alaska snow wilderness, and they, the story goes from there. I'm not going to give anything away. But this one takes place on a Texas farm. There's a widow, and she's trying to keep her farm afloat. And I really am not going to go, like I said, I'm not going to go in a big description about the book, but this author was very fun for me to read in her last story, and I'm looking forward to reading this since I did get the ARC.
And speaking of serial killers, there's another book on my list. Surprise, surprise, about a serial killer. I have the electronic ARC, and it's called Heart of Glass by Jennifer Hillier. I have read several by Jennifer Hillier, and I am a fan of her writing. Some of the ones that I have read, Wonderland, which I did in a vlog as well. I can't remember which one, but I definitely did one of hers. I think it was one in our secret vlogs. Things We Do in the Dark was another really good one that I loved, and another one called Little Secrets. I do still want to read others by her. She has one called Jar of Hearts that I've been wanting to read. So this one is one, again, that takes place years later after something happened. It is a typical premise, especially in thrillers. There was a serial killer that was called the Carnival Killer, and someone was seemingly caught and had confessed to the crime. 25 years later, the person that had confessed recants his confession. Right at the same time, another body ends up on the shore of a young woman, seemingly in the same vein as what happened with the Carnival Killer. So the best friends that had been around that carnival, I think the town was called Seaside and it's on the coast, they end up having to come together to talk about what happened, and I guess we'll find out what happens. So I am very much looking forward to reading this. I do plan on doing an ARC review for this because I definitely want to read it. It comes out August 25th, so I do have some time. So if you are interested in my thoughts on that, keep an eye on our channel and you'll see an ARC review for it.
The next 4 books I have are going to be fantasy books, of course, y'all. And the first book that I want to talk about is Her Hidden Fire. This is an art copy that I got. I didn't get to read it, but the sequel to this book is coming out soon-ish. I know it's this year. I can't remember exactly what month, but I know it's coming out this year. And I do have some friends in a Discord group that read books together, and I'm going to buddy read this book with them in the month of June. So I am excited to get to this. This book does feel a little thick. Like, I don't know how many pages this is. This is feeling kind of chunky compared to some of the other books. Maybe because it's smaller, so the pages are more condensed. But it is 425 pages, so it's actually not that bad. Maybe because it's smaller, it just feels chunkier than this one. But yeah, I am excited to buddy read this, and hopefully I like it and want to jump right into the next book.
The next one seemed kind of mixed genre or fiction mixed with potentially some fantasy. It's called Voyagers by Meg Charlton. I also have an electronic ARC for that, and it does come out June 16th. The premise to this was making me laugh because it's been in the news a lot, and it's about a signal that is discovered at the edge of the universe, and it's indicating that we're not alone. What's really funny about this is that when it comes out June 16th, Steven Spielberg's latest movie is coming out right around the same time. I want to say it's June 12th. His movie is called Disclosure Day, and it is about disclosing about aliens. A lot of hype has been happening about the movie. I definitely want to see the movie. And this has been compared to Gabrielle Zevin, Tomorrow, which is one of my favorite books. It's about friendship and family, as well as this basis underneath of, are we alone in the universe? And what is going on with this signal. It also was giving me a lot of Karen Thompson Walker vibes, because she has one out called Age of Miracles that had some like science, end of world potential in the background going on, but a lot of it was about the friendship and this life of the 13-year-old girl in Age of Miracles. So I feel like it could, and I don't want to get my hopes up, it could very well be in the vein of Karen Thompson Walker and Gabrielle Zevin, and that would be a book that I would absolutely love.
The next fantasy book I'm going to read is a YA book, and the sequel again is coming out, I think this year soon. It is coming out soon. I don't know exactly when, but I have seen it on Edelweiss, and it is an ARC that I got. Again, the same theme, but this one is A Fate So Cold. This book's been out for a while, and it is by the author of All of Us Villains. And I really have been interested in reading this book. It's just one of those books that I haven't been able to prioritize or get to. And it's a book that I am excited about reading, but it's also not as exciting, or I'm not as anxious to get to it as other books that I have put ahead of this one. But I feel like now's the time this summer with the sequel coming out. I really want to read this and determine if I want to read the sequel when it comes out as well.
One book on my list that is not a recent release or future release, I really hope that we do a Summerween vlog of some sort. In thinking of that for the summer, because when I was making this list, I was thinking what we might be doing in the summer, what is going on in the summer, and we have had a chance to do a few Summerween episodes in the past. So of course, if you're thinking of Summerween and horror books, I'm going to be thinking of Stephen King. I have read now several Stephen King, and I am a fan. The one I've been wanting to read next on my list is The Shining. If you guys haven't seen the movie, and I do hear that the movie is different than the book, but it's about a man basically losing his mind in this hotel, the Overlook Hotel, and about a little boy trying to escape. I am very, very curious as to how the book is and how it differs. And I know he wrote at least one sequel. I don't know if it was 2 sequels or not, but I do want to have a reason to read another Stephen King. But even if we don't do anything for Summerween, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to it over the summer.
So the next book I want to read is by an author that I've just felt is okay. I've read 2 books now by this author, and both of the books have just been okay. I there's really nothing like that. I don't know why I'm so anxious to read this book. To be honest with you, I'm a little bit worried I'm going to be disappointed just because the other books of this author were just middle of the road for me. But I do want to read The Monster and the Last Blood Match. And this book by it's by K.A. Lindy. That's the author that I've read. And like I said, her books have just been okay. They haven't been fantastic. I think like her books, the worlds, I love the worlds built in this book, in her books, 2 that I've read. So I think her world building is great. And I think that's what I think also the plot is interesting. I think where her books fall flat for me are the characters. I really have a hard time connecting with the characters and really feeling for the characters, rooting for the characters, being scared for the characters. I have a hard time pulling out emotions for the characters in her books. I think that's where they fell flat. So I'm hoping that that's not the case with this book because this world sounds really good. There is a vampire. This is a vampire romance, basically. If you read the description of it, you can probably understand why it sucked me in. It's a little bit dark. And, obviously I really enjoy books with vampires. There's something real mysterious about vampires and just dark, and they can be very scary, but they can also be not so scary. And I don't know. Vampires are interesting to me, I guess. So that's why this book drew my attention, and I did buy it. So it's on my physical TBR, and I want to get it read this summer to figure out if I want to continue the series or not.
The last book I have to go over before I pick from the TBR jar is one of my favorite authors, and I have been chomping at the bit to read this. I think about it too often, and I do need to just get to it. But since it doesn't come out till September, I have been kind of tampering myself down to wait. And it's Hollow Bones by Jodi Picoult. I have an electronic ARC, and as usual, her book has a very, I want to kind of say sappy, emotional premise to it. It is about a woman who, her mother perished in 9/11 when she was only like 2 months old. When she gets older, she has a huge fear of catastrophes, and she has a fear of a disaster of that magnitude happening again. So she ends up running straight towards that fear, and she wants to save lives. It sounds like she ends up working for a place that works with emergency preparedness and saving lives. And she is married. It seems like he has something in his background that's similar to her. And it says something happens that twists their whole world around, and they end up finding out things. With Jodi, you never know what's going to happen. I've read so many of her novels, and I absolutely love them. And she typically has a twist. Some of them are a huge twist. Some of them are just, several little twists. But I have a feeling this one is going to be a huge twist. And I am very much looking forward to reading this. Definitely going to do an ARC review. You will see that on our channel.
The last fantasy book on my list, y'all. I can't say enough about this series. I have started this book, but not completed it. And it's like my favorite series of all time. It's just but I think about these books all the time. I compare other books to these books. The writing in these books, they are just so perfect. Like some people say they have God tier series or 6-star books. For me, this is the only series that I would even think about putting in that category that I've read. And that is, the series is Empire the Vampire. This is the 3rd book called Empire of the Dawn by Jay Kristoff. And these books are so epic. I've talked about them so much. So if you've seen our other videos, this is going to be repetitive for you. I did get an ARC of the book. I started reading it, and I had to put it down to prioritize other books and read other things. And this book, I just want to be able to focus on. So I want to find a time where I catch up on all the vlogs, all the books I need to read for vlogs, and then I can sit down and really focus on this book. I've actually thought about rereading the first two books and then jumping into this one, because they are very far spaced out when they release, over a year between all of the books. And this is epic fantasy. It's very dark. I would say it's epic dark fantasy or grim dark fantasy for sure. But there's just a lot of things going on, a lot of little details you can miss when you read the books. And I love them so much. I do think I could do a reread because I'm not a big rereader, but I want to just start over and reread the first two books. And they are very, very chunky. I do think this is the longest book in the series, but they are like around 800 pages. This one is 766 pages, and all of the books are pretty thick. So it's a lot of pages to read. But the books are just so, so gorgeous. I just like them. There's illustrations in them, and I like to take my time reading this. So I'm trying to pick the perfect time to read. I'm probably going to start my reread of the other books pretty soon though, and then hopefully I will reread them over time and be able to jump into this one when I can focus on solely this book and I have the time to sit down and read it, because these books are so good and I just want to be able to devour it and appreciate it and give it the attention it deserves.
All right, time for TBR jar. Now, I have not updated this in a while. I do need to add this. Our jar usually has most anticipated books from our videos, which we do in 2-month chunks. And I don't know if I have gotten May and June in here yet, which was the last months that we just did. But I also added books that I have on my TBR physically back there just to kind of get some of those off of my TBR. I'm hoping some of those also come off because I feel like I'm reading a lot of just new books instead of things that are physically on my TBR. Though some of the ones I've picked this year, I have gotten some things off my list. I've been pretty good at reading all of them, but we are choosing 2 from our TBR jars. This one is a very light pink one, and I'm pretty sure that means that it's an older book that has been in here a while. So that's a good sign that it's not a brand new book. So the book is The Fiction Writer by Gillian Cantor, and I'm pretty sure I haven't read that yet. It sounds really familiar. From the November-December 2023 most anticipated. I don't remember what it's about, but I do recall the book. All right, so I'm gonna choose another. Looks like it might be at least within the past year. I'm actually really happy about this. It is physical TBR, and it's Hemlock by Kristen Maudlin. I haven't read her yet, but she's someone that has been compared to Frida McFadden. She had been online. People are calling her like the next Frida McFadden. What they mean is she had self-published her books. A lot of people have been talking about them and buying them and getting more and more popular. I know I have seen her books at the library, and I do own this one. Quick glance, I don't see it, but I am fairly certain I own it, so I'm gonna have to double check. Worst comes to worst, I can always do audio for her.
So the final section of this TBR, Jen decided we should do 2 from the TBR jar. And I'm so overwhelmed. I really want to read more from the TBR jar, but I am currently behind on 3 books. One, to be fair, I did just pick for our May TBR. And I did actually just get that book in. That's going to be Dawn of the Firebird. So I am going to be reading and filming a short on this book very soon because I just borrowed it from my library. But I do have 3 books total, including that one, 2 other ones that I need to read from the TBR jar and do short form content on. But we're going to pick 2 more for the summer to read, and I have no idea if these are going to be like summer reading vibes or what. We're randomly picking. These are most anticipated books, so these are books that I featured in our most anticipated videos. That's what I'm choosing from. And this one is from July and August of 2024. It's The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. Actually, y'all, Did I check that book out? I saw this in the library when I was like doing a little library haul. And I was like, I really need to get to this book. So that's exciting. This is a fantasy book, by the way. So it's in my favorite genre. And I think this will be a good book to read for the summer. So I'm actually very excited about this one. And the second book that I'm going to pick is, I'm going to go to the bottom here. Let's see. Get maybe an older one off the list. Let's see. This one is from May and June of 2025, and this is With a Vengeance by Riley Sager, which is actually really good because he does have another book coming out. I have not read this one yet, and I think it is one that I downloaded from NetGalley, so I do need to get that read and keep my NetGalley ratio up so I can be approved for more books. So, and that's a thriller, so I have another thriller book that I could read on here. I think the only reason I've been dragging my feet about reading With a Vengeance is because Jen read the book and she didn't like it as much. So, and Jen and I typically do have the same taste in thrillers. We don't always agree on other books, but thrillers we kind of mostly agree on. So if she thought it wasn't as good as his other books or didn't like it as much, then I was worried that maybe I won't. But now's the time to read it because he has another book coming out and I want to stay caught up. I do have backlist of his that I need to read, but I do want to stay caught up on his new releases. So good time to read this one. All right, y'all. So here are the physical copies of all the books that I want to read for the summer, and then I have the digital copy of that one. I'm falling. But I also wanted to mention that another high priority book of mine that I want to read is these two books right here, this duology. Also very high priority. I didn't fit them in my top 10, but I am missing Rachel Gaelig's writing so much, and I need to get to those this summer as well. So many books, so little time, but that is that's what you get when you're a reader, right? There's just so many. You can't get to them all, and you have to prioritize, but overwhelming, but it's a good overwhelming. So let me know, y'all, what books you're reading this summer.
We do have several things that we're working on right now. We do have a summer vlog coming out where we are reading summer books that remind us of summer, beachy type, and I am also doing a couple summer thrillers in this one. We are also working on our Lisa Jewell vlog where we read one of her backlist and also the new one that's coming out in June. I'm pretty sure we're gonna do a little free library because we have done them before, especially in the summer. It's the perfect time. I actually visited a couple little free libraries today in the summer vlog that I'm doing because it just reminds me of summer. And I have a feeling we might do Summerween. Maybe if I bug Amanda enough, we will do a Summerween episode. What else do you want to see from us this summer? If any of those are what you want to see, put it in the comments. If you want to see little free libraries or Summerween, help me convince Amanda and put it in the comments because I am a big Summerween fan. I think she likes it too. I mean, she does like to read thrillers and I'm pretty sure horror too. But let us know if there's anything else you would love to see from us this summer. What are your plans for summer reading? And put those in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, guys. And until next time.